Hello. In this session, we're going to be talking about how you should go about ranking your choices on your application to Chalmers. As you already know, you are able to make up to 4 choices in your application. You do not have to make 4 choices, but you are able to make 4 choices. And so, if you do have more than one choice, you must place those choices in an order of priority, also known as ranking your choices. So let's see how you are going to do this. First, we will look at a presentation which gives you, let's say, 4 example methods that you could use. You could also find a 5th or a 10th method. That's up to you. But here are some recommendations from us. And then we will also discuss why ranking is important. Why is it important that you rank your choices? So let's get started. So how do I rank my choices in my application? There are, as I said, 4 example methods that we have in this presentation. Let's take a look at example method 1. Example method 1 is an anecdotal method. And an anecdotal method is basically one where you are collecting anecdotal evidence for why a program is a certain way, gives you a certain feeling. You may have several factors that you are interested in. These factors may be about cost or location or about career opportunities or lab facilities or whatever else. You've got a number of different factors when you are considering studying abroad and studying a particular program at the master's level. So you can put down those factors, whether that is in a tabular form or in a notebook or on separate sheets of paper. It's in your hands to find the way in which you do this, but the fact of the matter is that you are able to collect anecdotal evidence on specified factors that you have chosen for each of the programs that you're interested in, and those anecdotal evidences help you put these programs in an order of priority. They could be an order that is number 1 to number 4, it could be 2, 3, 4, 1. You are choosing the order based on the evidence that you have collected. Method number two is going to be numerical in nature. And this is basically where you might find a number of factors that you have already identified, and you are also identifying, let's say, a point score scale. So in this particular example, we have a 5-point scale. You could have a 6-point scale, a 15-point scale, a 10-point scale. It's up to you to choose the scale, and you could choose the factors as well, and they do not need to be restricted to only 4 factors. You could have 15 factors if you wish to, and you can sum the points that you give to each factor for each program, and that gives you a score. And that score then tells you which order you can place those programs in. As you can see, in this example, program 1 and 3 have the same score. Then you could use example 1, for example. In this case, we have the anecdotal method that could give you anecdotal evidence that could change the position of either 1 or 3 to find the right position for them. If we look at example method number 3, we have mind maps. For those of you that are visual in nature, you could use a mind map to identify the value of each program. You could put down the name of a program in the middle and then start answering all the different kinds of questions that you can come up with regarding that program and your way to evaluate it. And thus, that could give you an idea as to whether you would like to place that program in a particular position or not. You could also use these 3 methods in combination with each other. A mind map could result in an anecdotal evidence table that could result in a numerical score for that program and those programs, allowing you to find a way. You could also use the anecdotal evidence to raise questions that could be made a part of your mind map, which will result in perhaps a numerical score, or perhaps just without those, and just the mind map and the anecdotal evidence results in some kind of ranking for you. So you have different ways in which you can go about doing this. And of course, we said we have a 4th method, and that 4th method happens to be good old simple gut feeling. Some people rely on their gut feeling very well, and you might be one of them. And in that case, you just know that this program is the program for you. And if that is the case, then you're good to go. There's nothing wrong with it, but you have to be sure that you're okay with using that method. But this brings me to exactly the thing that we were talking about a little while earlier. The question, why is ranking super important? Why is it important that you rank your application? So in order to understand that, Let's also say that the ranking process, the prioritization process, is a process of identifying what is it that you want. What do you want to do as part of your career, right? What do you see yourself doing for 40 years from now? That is the question that we're trying to answer. We're not trying to answer the question of, is it easy to be admitted to this program? Or is it easy to study this program? So on and so forth. The question is, do I see myself doing this for the next 40 years? Because that is how long most of our careers are. So that's the kind of methodology, or that's the aim that we have when we are answering this question. Now, therefore, you should also understand that the priority is going to affect the way you get evaluated. So if you place a particular program at number 1 and another program at particular position number 4, the rate at which your chances of being evaluated by number 2, 3, and 4 is actually exponential in nature. It's reducing exponentially. So you have to be evaluated by number 1 and rejected by number 1 in order for number 2 to evaluate you and reject you, and give you a decision. Only if number 2 rejects you can number 3 evaluate you. And only if 3 evaluates you and rejects you can number 4 evaluate you. So imagine you need to be rejected by 3 programs for your 4th program to actually evaluate you. Now, you are all good students, which means that you probably are applying to programs that have a good match to your background. In which case, number 1 already probably matches your background and you will probably be admitted to it. So it's very important that you place number 1, the program that you really want to study. Now, let's say that for some reason number 1 does not match. Only then will number 2 be able to evaluate you. So imagine you have to get rejected by 3 programs and you're all good students. That's a difficult situation to find yourself in. So it's going to be very difficult for you to find yourself being evaluated by number 4. So be very careful about how you place your ranking positions for each of these programs. There's another point here as well. Your order of priority, the ranking that you have provided, is going to affect who evaluates you for a scholarship also. As I said, number 1 will evaluate you first, which means that they will also be able to evaluate you for your scholarship, right? Because they are the ones who are deciding first whether you get admitted or not. And only if you get admitted can you get a scholarship. So that's very important too. So it's very important that you think in terms of which program do I want to study? What is that I want from my career? And the other thing we want to think about is, what program do I want a scholarship for? Right? So those two things together will give you which position each program has got to be in. And if you want a scholarship, you have to put that program at number 1, because that's the program that will evaluate you first and therefore will evaluate you for a scholarship as well. So if you put a particular program at number 4 and you apply for a scholarship for that program, the chances of you being evaluated for that program have already reduced exponentially. That means that you won't even have a chance of getting the scholarship. So it's very important that you put your position at number 1 for the scholarship that you want to apply for. The program and the scholarship. Those have to be the position number 1, right? So these are the reasons why you must rank your application properly. Think very carefully about how you rank your application. Think very carefully what it is that you want to do as part of your career for the next 40 years. And that will result in a good decision for you as far as the priority ranking is concerned. I'd like to thank you for listening to me up until now, and I hope that you have already started your application and that this is going to get you making your priority rankings correctly. With that, take care and see you later. Bye-bye.